say, Sydney and Melbourne have driven more than half of Australia's economic growth over the last 4 years since the end of the mining boom. During that period, Western Australia and the Northern Territory have been through what for them have been quite significant recessions, and property prices have been falling in those cities for much longer than they have been in Sydney or Melbourne. I think there are some tentative signs that the downturn in mining investment and employment that has been a major negative for the Western Australian economy over the last 5 or 6 years is now coming to an end, and we could actually see a modest upturn in the Western Australian economy over the next year or two, though the timing of the start of that is, I think, still a bit uncertain. Queensland has a much more diverse economy than Western Australia, and while it's also been harmed by the end of the resources boom, its tourism and education sectors have been something of an offset, and it also, of course, has a stronger base in other parts of the services sector, including property development. South Australia and Tasmania, Australia's traditionally weaker states, have actually benefited quite a lot from the recovery in Australian agriculture, from the decline over the last 5 years in the value of the Australian dollar, and from their ability to attract an increased share of overseas migrants. In Tasmania's case, people are actually moving back to Tasmania for the first time in more than a decade, and Tasmania's economy has just recorded its strongest growth since before the financial crisis. Obviously, if things go wrong in the international economy, all of Australia's states, including South Australia and Tasmania, will be adversely affected by that. But I think what we're pointing to is an overall economic outlook for Australia where the gaps between the best performing states and the worst are much smaller than they have been at any time in the last 2 decades.